the channel and welcome to episode 7 of my solo play Age of Fantasy Skirmish campaign between my Goblins and my Havoc Warrior Disciples. The story so far: the Goblins are on 6 victory points for the campaign, and the Havoc Warrior Disciples are also on 6 victory points for the campaign. So even Stevens as we go into episode 7. The Goblins are currently worth 270 points. The Havoc Warrior Disciples are currently worth 255 points, so the Havoc Warrior Disciples will get 1 underdog bonus to use during the coming game. And just to remind you, an underdog bonus can be used to modify any die by plus or minus 1. So at the end of the last game, we added another unit of Goblin Spearmen, Cave Goblin Spearmen, to the Goblins Warband, but nothing was added to the Havoc Warrior Disciples, the Beasts That Hunger, and we'll get straight into rolling for special objectives. So that's a 1 for the Beasts That Hunger, my Havoc Warrior Disciples, which is Mastery. Have 1 friendly unit in each table quarter at the end. Okay, and the Goblins have got Rage, be the first player to knock out an enemy unit. Awesome. So both of those are achievable, so we don't need to re-roll them. So to save a bit of time, I won't go through all of the upgrades that the warbands have achieved over the course of the campaign. I'll just simply go through them as and when they come up during the game. Right, let's go and check out the mission. Okay, so we're set up, and I like doing this jungle terrain, so I've gone for the jungle terrain this time round. We've got the 6 objectives because we're going to be using the cards. I quite like the way that's working, using 1 deck for both armies. So we'll get on to the first card draw for the first turn in a moment. And for dispositions, the Havoc Warrior Disciples, the Beasts That Hunger, they deployed first. They got to choose the deployment zone, so they're on this side nearest me, and I think it's been several games in a row they've achieved that. So they are arrayed across here with Terrafang right on their right flank, and then we've got Greekar and Grag the Howler in the centre. We've got Harak the Exalted, then Kerulk the Berserk, Strack, and then finally Gareth Skull Splitter. And for the Goblins, on their right flank we've got Scabbard Stabbers, and then in the centre we've got Swampy Stompy, the Forest Troll. We've got the man himself, Dribblesnot Flashbang, and we've got Slobbergob. And then on their left flank we've got the new unit of Goblins, which I realise I haven't actually told you their name yet. They are Proggers Pokers. So they're over on their left flank, so on the right of this screen from the Havoc Warrior Disciples perspective. Right, so the Havoc Warrior Disciples will get the first activation in the first turn, but before that we need to do the card draw and see if there's going to be a random event. Card draw for turn 1, we've got Terrify, which is 1 enemy unit fails a morale test for 1 victory point, or 3 or more enemy units fail a morale test for 2 victory points. That's not very likely to happen for either side in the first turn. Seize 5, so control objective marker 5, and C6, control objective marker 6. Now objective marker 6 is near the deployment zone for the Beasts That Hunger, whereas objective marker 5 is near the deployment zone for Dribblesnot Sneaky Gits. So prediction, 1 point each at the end of the first turn. Right, is there going to be a random event? Yes there is, so on a 5 or 6 there will be. Right, so we've got purple dice for 10s, green dice for units. 61. 61 is Wisdom of the Gods. Select 1 random unit which immediately gains D3 XP. I think we had that in the last game for Gareth. Okay. Well, odds, it'll be Dribblesnot Sneaky Gits. Evens, it'll be the Beasts That Hunger. So it's even, so it's the Beasts That Hunger again. And then we need to pick a unit at random, and for that I'm going to need a D8. Right, they're nicely in a line, so we'll just go from left to right on a roll of a D8. There's only 7 units, so on an 8 I'll re-roll. 4, so that will be Harak. Havoc is going to get some XP. How much XP is he going to get? D3, 2. So 2 XP for Havoc. For the first activation, Strack here is just going to advance forwards onto objective 2 right in front of him. And I should have said that the ruined walls and the overgrowth and things like that, they're simply impassable terrain, and that's all the terrain we've got on the table at the moment. There's no difficult terrain or anything like that, just impassable. Scabbers Stabbers have done the same for objective 1. Kerulk the Berserk has rushed forwards, staying in cover behind those walls and overgrowth. Proggers Pokers have advanced onto objective 5. Terrafang has rushed forwards, not his full distance, he's keeping in cover again behind the overgrowth and the walls. Swampy Stompy has rushed forwards and he is agile, so he can rush an extra 3 inches on top of his regular rush move of 12, so 15 inches in total, and he's still just outside charge range from any of the beasts that hunger, those that haven't yet activated at least. Greekar has advanced onto objective 6. Dribblesnot has rushed forwards, keeping within 3 inches of objective 2, and he's now going to cast a spell, and I think we're going to go... I'm torn between Spider's Might and Nuisance on Proggers Pokers down here. They are within 12 inches. Spider's Might would give them poison, which any 6s to hit would result in 3 hits rather than just 1, whereas Nuisance gives them regeneration. So Spider's Might will be useful if Proggers Pokers get to activate before Terrafang does, so they can charge Terrafang, and then 6s to hit will count as 3 additional hits. Whereas Nuisance would be beneficial if Terrafang activates before they do and charges them, assuming Terrafang does indeed charge them. So yeah, I think we'll cast Poison, or rather Spider's Might, on Proggers Pokers. This will go off on a 4 normally, but Dribblesnot is Wizard 2, so it'll go off on a 2+. That's a 3, so that's a pass. So Proggers Pokers have now got Spider's Might. Grag the Howler has advanced to support Greekar on objective 6. Slobbergob has rushed forwards in such a way it gives him options for movement next turn. He didn't have to use his Boing ability for that, which is he moves an extra 3d3 inches on rush, 2d3 on regular advance. So yeah, he's just simply rushed forwards to his current position. That's the last activation for all the goblins, so we'll do the remaining Beasts That Hunger activations now. Harrick has advanced onto objective 4, and Gareth Skull Splitter has rushed forwards, and just like Swampy Stompy, he is agile, so he can rush 15 inches instead of 12, and he's heading for objective 1, being protected by Scabbers Stabbers. Right, let's take an overview of the battlefield and see what the scores are like. So at the end of turn 1, the Goblins are in control of all the odd numbered objectives, so 1, 3 and 5, and the Beasts That Hunger are in control of the even numbered objectives 2, 4 and 6. We've got some presence from the Goblins towards the centre of the board, but the Beasts That Hunger have got some presence on the flanks, with Terrafang rushing up the right flank and Gareth rushing up their left flank. So let's check out the mission cards. Neither of the warbands got Terrify. The Goblins got Seize 5. The Havoc Warrior Disciples got Seize 6. So that's 1 point each to the warbands. Now the way I'm doing this is, ordinarily in a regular 2-player game, the warband that's losing gets to discard one of the cards. The way I've been doing it is, as it's a draw, neither side can do that, so we're going to keep Terrify for the time being, and we'll just add 2 more cards to it at the start of the next turn. Right, card draw for turn 2, so we've still got Terrify from turn 1, and we've also now got Delve Deep, which is have at least 1 unit within the enemy's deployment zone for 1 victory point, or 3 units for 2 victory points. And then we've got the second version of Seize 6, so control objective marker 6, which the Beasts That Hunger are currently doing. So is there going to be a random event on turn 2? No. The Goblins get to activate first because they finished activating first in the first turn. And Proggus Pokers have charged Terrafang, and the D6 with the 3 showing just reminds me that they've still got the Spider's Might spell cast on them, which gives them poison, and poison means any 6s to hit count as 3 hits. Right, they've charged in, so they're all hitting on 5s, but because they are cave goblins they are furious, so this will be 6 attacks hitting on 5s. Right, well there's no 6s there, and there's also no 5s. Okay. Terrafang gets 2 attacks back, hitting on 3s. That's 1 hit, and just so I don't forget to spend it later, I think we'll make that 2 into a 3, so that's 2 hits, so you can do that with the underdog bonus. This will be AP1, so we need 6s to save on the goblins. Nope. I should have gone with the regeneration spell instead, shouldn't I? So that will be that guy and that guy, and they have now fought, so we'll get rid of that D6. So now Progger, who is the musician, he will have to fall back an inch. He is marked as activated, and it will be the beasts that hunger for their first activation of the turn. Kerulk the Berserk is going to charge in on Dribblesnot. So Kerulk gets 3 attacks because of Furious, hitting on 3s. And that's 1 hit, but 6s are nothing special. This will be a 5-up save. Oh, it was -1 to hit because Dribblesnot is a duelist, so he's -1 to hit in melee. But the 6 would automatically hit anyway, and the 2s would still miss. So this is 1 save, saving on a 5 because Dribblesnot is resilient, so he gets +1 to his save rolls. That doesn't pass, so that's 1 wound through on Dribblesnot. Dribblesnot can attack back, and he is a fanatic, which gives him +1 attack, so he will be hitting on 5s with 2 attacks. That's 1 hit. 6s are nothing special. And a 3-up save for Kerulk, which passes. So Kerulk will have to fall back an inch, is marked as activated, and Dribblesnot has taken 1 wound. Slobbergob is going to charge Greekar down here, and again the red crystal is just to remind me that yeah, the beasts that hunger are in control of that objective, or they were at the start of the turn. So that is about 14.5 inches, so we don't have to do boing for Slobbergob, but I may as well do it anyway just for laughs, see how far he can get, because he might be able to get in behind him. Right, so that is 3d3, so 3, 6, and that would be a 2, so that's 8 extra inches, so that's 20 inches Slobbergob could move if he wanted to. So Slobbergob has charged down, around and behind Greekar. Slobbergob will get 2 attacks, hitting on 4s. That's 2 hits. 6s are nothing special. This is AP1, so Greekar will need 6s to save. So he's got 1 save, and he can re-roll 1 die per turn. Now he's just taken a wound, and experience has taught me that it's probably best to save the re-roll to see whether or not he's now going to get stunned. So we'll let 1 wound go through on him. And now we roll to see if he gets stunned or KO'd. On a 5 or 6 he'll get KO'd. That's a 3, so he won't get KO'd. But he will get stunned. Does Slobbergob kick him away on a 4-up? No. And then Slobbergob has to back off an inch, which puts him a little bit closer to the deployment zone of the enemy, but not quite within it. And for the beasts that hunger, I think we're just going to automatically stand up Greekar again, which will count him as activated, but right now he's nice easy pickings for Swampy. So yeah, we'll do that. So yeah, he just simply stands up and counts as being activated. I think it will keep up the pressure moving forward down here onto objective 6, and Swampy is going to charge in. I think we'll go for Greekar, and obviously we've got the special objective where we want to be the first warband to knock out an enemy unit. So Swampy is charged in. He is a specialist in melee, so he gets +1 to hit, so he's hitting on 3s with 3 attacks. All 3 hit. His hand weapon is AP1, so again 6s to save. So that's 1 save, 2 go through, so that puts Greekar onto 3 wounds. So rolling to see if he gets knocked out. That's a 2. 2 + 3 is 5, which means he is simply stunned again. He's not knocked out. So Swampy again has to back off an inch. So now I think Grag the Howler is going to charge Slobbergob. And he'll get 3 attacks, but he'll be hitting on 2s because Grag the Howler is also now a specialist in melee. So ordinarily hits on 3s, and now he's hitting on 2s because of +1. And that's 2 hits. No AP, so this will be 5s to save. Both fail, so that's 2 wounds through on Slobbergob. Let's see if he's knocked out. Yes, he is. 5 + 2 is 7, so Slobbergob is knocked out, which means the Goblins now cannot complete their special objective of being the first warband to knock out an enemy unit. Greg can now consolidate 3 inches any way he likes, so I think he's going to come back around here, to about there, and that'll be the end of his activation. Now that has implications because Dribblesnot has got a spell that allows a friendly unit to move 6 inches, and if Dribblesnot had still been alive or in play, that would have got him into the deployment zone. The deployment zone starts about here, and we could still cast it on Swampy and he would just be able to get the tip of his base in, but Greekar is currently in the way, so he would have to go around, so he can't get within the enemy deployment zone. So I think Dribblesnot is going to revert to form and just cast Glare at Keralt the Berserk. So as mentioned, Dribblesnot is going to cast Glare on Keralt the Berserk. So this will go off on a 2, ordinary 4 but wizard 2. And that's a 1! Right, so now he's just going to Scarper, probably back towards his own deployment zone. So Dribblesnot has backed off a little way, not his full 12 inches that he could do for a rush, but again, just tactically repositioning, staying reasonably close to that objective, and also giving him options for mobility in the next turn. So back over to the beast that hunger. Terrafang has rushed around from his starting position over here, and quite comfortably within the Goblins deployment zone. Scabbers Stabbers are going to charge Gareth the Skull Splitter. We'll start things off with Scabber himself. He is a sergeant, so he gets +1 to his attacks, which is an upgrade, and he is furious because he's a cave goblin, so he gets 2 attacks hitting on 4s. Both miss, and then the other 2 get 2 attacks each hitting on 5s. And that's 2 hits. No AP, so 4s to save. Nope, so that's 2 wounds through on Gareth. He can now fight back. 2 attacks hitting on 3s. So that's 2 hits. And this will be natural 6s to save. Nope. So we'll take out... Oh, hang on. Backpedaling. We've inflicted 2 wounds and the standard bearer, the battle standard bearer, he counts as 1 extra wound inflicted if we inflict any wounds, for the purposes of working out if he's knocked out or not. So that is now 3, and Gareth is tough 3. So we roll a die and a 5 or a 6, he is knocked out. He's knocked out. How ignominious, getting knocked out by little goblins with sharp pokey sticks. So yeah, those attacks back didn't happen. And Scabbers Stabbers have consolidated 3 inches further forwards, heading towards objective 2. And that now puts them in strike range of Strack. Now, Strack normally sits at the back and holds objectives. That's basically what the Gore Reaver's job is, to hold the objectives further back, while the more heavily armoured guys surge forward. And yeah, I'm contemplating charging Scabbers Stabbers with him, but if he does that, he has to take a dangerous terrain test, because Scabbers Stabbers have got spears, which gives them the phalanx rule. So if he were to charge in, I would roll 3d6, and any results of a 1 would be a wound on Strack. And we haven't seen how that works yet, so let's do it just to see how it works. Right, so he's charged in, we roll 3 dice, and there's 1. A1, so that is a wound on Strack, 3 dice because there's 3 goblins in that unit. So that's 1 wound on Strack. And he also loses his Furious ability, because you lose any special abilities that result from a charge move. So he just gets 2 attacks hitting on 4s. That's 1 hit. This will be a 6 to save. Nope. And then one of the goblins will get taken out, so we'll take out the standard little goblin there. As in the standard goblin, not the standard bearer goblin. So now Scabber and the standard bearer get a chance to fight back, but they've already fought in combat, so it doesn't matter that Scabber is a sergeant, so he will only be hitting on unmodified 6s. So no hits there. Now the rules are a little unclear as to when we actually test to see if Strack gets knocked out. Might have to quickly read the way they're worded. Right, it seems these goblins have got charmed lives, because checking the wording in the core rules, it says whenever a model takes 1 or more wounds, place a wound marker next to it for each wound. Then roll 1 die and add the number of markers to the result to see what happens. So we now roll to see if he's knocked out. And he is. So basically Strack knocked him out by charging a bunch of sharp pokey sticks. And that also means that this goblin isn't knocked out, but Strack is. So the next quandary is, can Scabbers Stabbers now move forwards another 3 inches? And the rules talk about the melee, and I don't know if that counts as melee, because he charged in. There is a sentence that says if one of the 2 units is destroyed, the other may move up to 3 inches, else the charging units move back by 1 inch. Now I don't know if that's taking a text out of context and therefore it's a con, but I think it makes a little bit of sense, because it would have been a melee, technically it was a melee, so yeah, I think they can move forward another 3 inches. It's not going to get them into the deployment zone, it's not going to get them within 3 inches of objective 2, but yeah, to me, I think the rules more or less say you can do it, so I'm going to do it. Let me know in the comments below if you would or if you wouldn't. The sad and lonely gamer, making the mistakes so you don't have to. Now that just leaves Havoc down here by objective 4. And as cowardly as it might seem, I think the prudent thing to do is basically for him to stay there. Or I suppose he could head on over towards objective 2 to try and secure that flank. Yeah, we'll do that. That's slightly less cowardly, slightly more heroic. So he will hop on over towards objective 2 because of the goblins heading round from that direction. And that is all of the activations for turn 2. So let's quickly see how things stand and then take a look at the cards. Right, so the goblins are still in control of the odd numbers objectives over there. So 1, 3 and 5, and again the little greenish, yellowy, greeny crystals there denoting ownership. We've got Keralt the Berserk right smack in the middle of the table. We've got Terrafang, who is within the deployment zone of the goblins. And then down here we've still got the Beast That Hunger in control of objectives 2 and 4, but 6 is now contested. So let's check out the cards. Okay, at the end of turn 2, neither side has got Terrify because neither side has hit breakpoint yet for morale. Delve Deep, the Beasts That Hunger have achieved that one. They've got Terrafang in the enemy deployment zone, but that was not achieved by the goblins. And then C6, well, that's currently contested between Grag the Howler and Swampy Stompy. So that puts the Beasts That Hunger on 2 points, and the goblins are still on 1 point. So the goblins can now get rid of one of the cards. I think the goblins are going to go for getting rid of C6. Yeah, I think we'll hold on to Terrify. I think there's a reasonable chance that they could activate that in the next turn. Reasonable chance. So yeah, we'll get rid of C6. Right, so card draw for turn 3. We've still got Terrify from turn 1, but we've now also got Seize 5 and Seize 1. So this could be interesting, because both of those are over near the goblin deployment zone, and the one's on either flank. Is there going to be a random event on a 5-up? No. Now it's tempting for Swampy to simply charge in and take out Greekar, because that's an automatic KO if he charges. However, I'm also thinking about Dribblesnot having Keralt the Berserk right in front of him, and he's also got Terrafang closing in from the other side, and Swampy is within charge range of Keralt the Berserk. That is to say, Swampy can start charge Keralt, not the other way around, because Swampy is agile, so he moves an extra 3 inches when he charges. So, the other option is Dribblesnot can try and cast Glare at Keralt again and then leg it away from Terrafang. That's an option. But then we run the risk of the Beasts That Hunger simply standing up Greekar on their first activation. Yeah, for now, I think Swampy is going to take the easy KO and charge Greekar. And he can then consolidate 3 inches in any direction. So he shuffles sideways slightly. Right, thinking time for the Beasts That Hunger, because we've got Keralt the Berserk in the centre there, and he can charge Dribblesnot. However, Seize 1 is one of the objectives, and that's all the way over there, which is currently held by the goblins. Seize 5 is also another objective, and that is currently held by the goblins. We've got Terrafang nearby, but hiding behind here is that last remaining member of Proggers Pokers who could contest it. So yeah, but we've also got to get one of the Beasts That Hunger in each table quarter for their special objective. So I think Keralt the Berserk is going to have to forego charging Dribblesnot and head over towards objective 1. So Keralt has rushed over towards objective 1, being sure to keep out of line of sight of Dribblesnot for the purposes of casting spells. Now, the Beasts That Hunger have only got 4 units left, and there's 4 corners to the battlefield, so they need all 4 of these to survive this turn and the next turn. And for all that, Scabbers Stabbers can now rush back to contest objective 1. So that's what they're going to do. And let's face it, they're goblins. There's a big, angry looking Hubie rushing towards them, so I think they're going to backpedal towards objective 1 with shouts of "Oi, zog off, this is ours." You got to do it. If you're playing goblins, you got to do silly voices. Now over here, Terrafang can charge Progger, the last remaining member of Proggers Pokers, and in doing so be within 3 inches of this objective. And if he manages to take out Progger, then he will be holding on to that objective, which could cause problems for the goblins. So that's what we'll do. Terrafang is going to charge that goblin. Now when Progger gets charged, he can move 2 inches because he is the unit being charged. So he's going to scoot round the side of him, just so that he is also within 3 inches of objective 5, just in case he survives the attack. And also Terrafang has to take a dangerous terrain test, but it's only 1 die now because there's only 1 goblin there. No, he's fine. But Terrafang does lose his Furious ability, so he's going to get 2 attacks hitting on 3s. 1 hit. This will be a 6-up save for Progger. That saves. Ah dear. Ah, the hilarity ensues. Progger can hit back. He gets 1 attack hitting on a 5, which misses. And then Terrafang has to back away 1 inch and gets marked as activated. Now Dribblesnot can rush around here to get within line of sight of Keralt the Berserk in order to cast Glare at him. And I think that's the best chance we've got of taking out Keralt. So yeah, we'll do that. And that hopefully, again, if that goes off, then the goblins will be in sole possession of objective 1. So he's rushed around the corner. This will go off on anything except a 1, which is not what happened last time. That's a 4. This will be a 5 or a 6 to save. That's a 3. So that's 3 damage through on Keralt the Berserk. Is he knocked out? That's a 2. So no, he's not, but he is stunned. But even though he's only stunned, stunned characters cannot hold objectives. So objective 1 is no longer contested. It's currently under the control of the goblins. So there's 2 units left to activate for the Beast That Hunger, and of course we haven't technically activated Proggy yet. Grag the Howler is going to charge Swampy. He gets 3 attacks, hitting on 2s. There's 2 1s. So that's 1 hit. This will be a 4-up save because Swampy is resilient, so he gets +1 to his save rolls, and that's a 5, so he's good. Swampy hits back, 3 dice. Technically he's not fought in melee, he's charged something, but the way we've been doing it so far, he's not technically fought, so he's still hitting on his usual 3s. 4s +1 because he's specialist in melee, so 3s, not 6s. So that's 2. AP1, so 4-up saves. Both fail. So that's 2 wounds on Grag. Is he knocked out? Yes, he is. Right. And Swampy's just going to stay there because he is within 3 inches of objective 6, and that might come up as an objective card in the next turn. Right, so that now means that the Beast That Hunger cannot achieve their special objective either, because they can't have a unit in each quarter of the battlefield. It also means they're at risk of failing morale tests because they're now at breakpoint. They had 7 units, they've lost 4. This can't do any significant damage to Terrafang, but Progger is going to charge him. He gets 2 attacks because he's furious, and he will hit on unmodified 6s because he's already fought in combat. Neither hits. Terrafang can hit back with 2 attacks, hitting on unmodified 6s for the same reason. Neither hits, so Progger falls back 1 inch and simply gets marked as activated. So now Havoc is going to rush around the corner. He can't get close enough to attack Scabbard Stabbers, and he's certainly nowhere near the objective. But that will be the end of turn 3. Now it's the end of the turn, and like I say, the beasts that hunger have lost half of their starting units, so morale tests have to be taken. Kerrick the Berserk will automatically fail because he's currently stunned. So let's roll for Havoc, who does have a little bit of a reputation for running away. He needs a 3 or more. He's running away again. And then we've got Terrafang over here, who will run away on a 1 or a 2 as well. And that's a 4. So Terrafang is going to stick around all by himself. Right, so dispositions at the end of turn 3. The Goblins hold objective 1 and objective 3. Objective 5 is contested. Goblins also hold objective 6. The beasts that hunger hold objectives 2 and objectives 4. Let's go and check out the cards. Right, so Terrify. We have made 2, technically, enemy units fail a morale test, but that's still only 1 victory point for the Goblins. So the Goblins get 1 point for that. The Goblins are controlling objective marker 1, so they get 1 victory point for that. Objective marker 5 is contested, so it's not being held by the Goblins. So neither side achieves that one. So that puts the Goblins onto 3 points and the Havoc Warrior Disciples on 2 points. Now I think the Havoc Warrior Disciples are going to keep hold of objective 5. They are currently losing, but they can choose to discard it. But we'll keep hold of it because Terrafang is right next to it, and it's just being held by a weedy little goblin. Right, so as we go into turn 4, the last turn, the Goblins will still get the first activation because they finished activating first. Right, this is the card draw for turn 4. We've got Outflank, no enemy units within 6 inches of the centre of the battlefield for 1 victory point, or no enemy units within 12 inches of the centre for 2 victory points. We've also got Slay the King. In this or any previous round, destroy the enemy hero with the highest tough value. And we've got Seize 5 still. Now, based on those, I don't think it's possible for Terrafang to win all by himself. He's currently 1 point behind. He's the only unit left on the table, and there's still plenty of Goblins who could, yeah, take points. The best he could hope for would be Slay the King. I've already measured up, and Dribble Snot is just over 18 inches away, so outside of charge range. So that's not possible. The best he could do is 1 victory point. Now, I am going to play the turn out, even though there's no point in winning, because he could still get an XP if he takes out Progger. So let's play the turn out and see what happens. Now, I'm almost loath to do this because everybody loves an underdog, or in this case, an under-demonic hound, and it almost pains me to say that Swampy is in charge range of Terrafang. So Swampy is going to charge Terrafang for the first activation for the Goblins. So Swampy gets 3 attacks hitting on 3s. All 3 hit. AP 1, so this is 5 up saves. Makes 1, so only 2 wounds taken. Terrafang can fight back. 2 attacks hitting on 3s. Both hit. AP 1, so this will be 5s. Ordinarily 5s, but plus 1 because Swampy is resilient, making it 4s, but AP 1 making it back to 5s again. So both fail, but Swampy has regeneration. Doesn't regen either of them. So that's 2 wounds apiece on each of them, and Swampy is backed off an inch. So now Terrafang will activate, and he will simply charge Progger. Potentially a little bit dangerous because he now has to take a dangerous terrain test. So 1. He takes a wound. He's tough 3, so that means he now is potentially knocked out. So on a 5 or a 6, he will be knocked out. No, that's a 2, so he's good for now. He will get to make his attacks. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong with your computer. I'm just skipping through the horrendous cock-up to the point where I realise I made the horrendous cock-up. What am I thinking? Terrafang should have been stunned by that wound, not knocked out. He doesn't get knocked out because it wasn't a 5 or a 6, but he is stunned. So therefore, he lies down, and Progger is not stunned. So Terrafang gets pushed away an inch. That's how it should work. Sorry about this. It's late and it's really warm up here. So yeah, now Progger can just charge in on his activation, and that will automatically knock out Terrafang. So now there really is no point in continuing with the rest of the turn, because that's a tabling for the Beasts That Hunger. So the Goblins can simply rack up, outflank and seize 5 and give themselves 3 more points, put them on 6 points to 2. Yeah, let's move into the post-game admin. Right, end of game admin. Dribble Snot Sneaky Gits won the game, so they get 2 victory points to add to their 6, putting them on 8. The Beasts That Hunger are still on 6. The Goblins get 10 points to add to their warband, giving them 10 points to spend on their warband. The Beasts That Hunger get 30, giving them 60 in total because they got 30 in the bank already. Neither side achieved their special objective. Moving on to the casualties. So Progger's Pokers count as a casualty because the majority of the models in the unit were either knocked out or stunned. So going from left to right, let's roll to see what goes on. Can a unit of goblins that got knocked out actually survive? Yes, they're fine. Slobbergob is fine. Terrafang, I know there's a few Terrafang fans out there, so let's hope he survives. Yep, he's good. Gareth Skullsplitter is good. Strack. Strack falls. On a 1, he's dead. On a 6, he would have survived with an XP. Anything else, they simply survive. Strack is gone. Greekar survives. Grag the Howler survives with an extra XP. Onto XP. Dribble Snot Flashbang gets an extra XP point because he survived the battle, and that puts him on 15, so he's going to level up again. Swampy Stompy survived the battle, so he gets an XP for that, and he also knocked out an enemy unit, so he gets an XP for that as well. That puts him on 20, so he's going to upgrade. You upgrade for every 5 XP you get. Scabbers Stabbers, these guys, they knocked out 2 enemy units and they survived the battle. That now puts them on 5 XP, so they're going to upgrade as well. They're going to get the first upgrade. And finally, Progger's Pokers, they knocked out an enemy unit. They took out Terrafang right at the end, so they get 1 XP. For the Beasts That Hunger, Harrick the Exalted got 1 XP for cowardly surviving the game by running away. He also gets plus 2 XP for the random event. Greg the Howler, he knocked out an enemy unit and he got that XP just now from surviving his injury, so that puts him on 8. And Keralt the Berserk survived the battle, so he gets an XP as well. So we need to do upgrades for Harrick, Dribble Snot, Swampy Stompy and Scabbers Stabbers. Right, we'll do the simple ones first, so we'll do Scabbers Stabbers. The upgrade they're going to get is Fast Learner, may pick any other trait from the list. Okay, so we can pick. I think we'll go for Specialist in Melee and give them +1 to their hit rolls in Melee. That means Scabber will be hitting on 3s. Right. Swampy. He has already got Agile, he's already got Specialist, and he's already got Resilient. So that means we want either a 2, a 5 or a 6. It's a 5. So he's now Elite. He can re-roll 1 die of any kind once per round. For Dribble Snot, he's already got Headstrong and Resilient. So for him we want either a 1, a 3, a 5 or a 6. A 3, so he's a specialist in melee. So he gets +1 to fight in melee. So he's becoming a bit of a close combat tank. I mean, he's now -1 to hit in melee, he gets an extra attack in melee, he gets +1 to hit in melee, he gets +1 to his save rolls. Yeah. For a Goblin Shaman, he's quite tanky. And then of course we've got his skill set upgrade. So he's already got Duelist and Fanatic, so the only one left for him for that is Berserker. Enemies get +1 to wound results when in melee with the hero. How does that work? So I'm guessing what that means is they take an extra wound from him. That's the way I'm reading it. Enemies get +1 to wound results when in melee with the hero. So I suppose if you're rolling a, for example, maybe Deadly 3 weapon, it would become Deadly 4. Rather than doing 1 damage, it does 2 damage. That's the way it makes sense to me. So that's what we'll do. He takes anybody who Dribblesnot hits in melee takes an extra wound. So yeah, the tanky Goblin Shaman has just become even more tanky. Right. And now for Havoc. First of all, we do his standard upgrade, which is Resilient. So that effectively cancels out his chest wound, because at the moment his chest wound is -1 to save rolls. Resilient gives him +1 to save rolls, so he's now saving on 3s again. Now because it's the first time he's leveled up, we roll for his skill set. So that is Fighter or Shooter. So we'll go for Fighter because he hasn't got any ranged weapons, so it's the same skill set that Dribblesnot's got. So the first one he will get is 2 Duelist. So he's -1 to hit in melee as well now. For the recruitment phase, no upgrades purchased for either warband. However, the Beasts That Hunger have recruited another Death Reaper. This is Creighton, the Bearer of Despair, and he has been upgraded with a great weapon, which is free. So instead of 2 attacks, he gets 1 attack at AP2. But he's also got a battle standard, which costs another 10 points, and any friendly units within 6 inches of him count as having inflicted 1 extra wound when you roll to see if an enemy unit is knocked out. Right, so that is the end of episode 7. If the Goblins win the next battle, then they will have won the campaign. Now, some of you have put it out there that if Havoc ran away again, there should be a leadership contest, and believe me, I've got ideas in mind for that. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Please continue to like, comment and subscribe, and until next time, God bless.